Hello, I'm Doug Rutter, and on today's episode of The Rebound, I have Beto Fournier, a dear friend of Coach's and an overall UTEP fan.
Yeah.
You think?
I was more in the older days. I was a fan of the man. I didn't think there was a finer minor than Coach Haskins, so I grew up with that. I kind of hate to say that, but once he's left, I just kind of dug in the archives and found this stuff. But his anniversary is September 7th, so.
What anniversary is that?
When he passed away. That's coming up.
Yeah. What do you have here? You want to talk about these items?
Sure. I have, when Coach was inducted into the Hall of Fame, I bought that ball from the Hall of Fame, and then I had him sign it in gold, since he is the gold standard. And I think me and his male nurse, that's what he used to call him, are the only ones that have that ball. The other one I just bought on the concourse at UTEP, that orange and white one.
Yeah.
And once he put the signature on it, it became one of my favorite. I love those.
Yeah, it's a beautiful ball. What about the photographs?
The photographs was at the signing, which we did. I think that was the first one ever at the Saddle Blanket. And I love that photo because it shows my mom and my father. And you see how Coach is holding her hand. They had the same soul. They were amazing. They were beautiful people.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, she passed, and at 66.
Really?
So, yeah. So that number was actually pretty cool till that day.
Yeah. And what's the black and white thing?
The black and white, that's Coach's program.
Really?
That's the program from Texas Western 65-66 year.
Yeah.
And it's one of my prized possessions. And it's signed by the team. And everyone that signed that, the only one that didn't sign that book was Coach. But Bobby Joe Hill is signed. Because if you remember, Tina was signing for Bobby Joe Hill.
Yeah.
And everybody was aware of that. They weren't trying to hide it and everything. And it looked remarkably similar, but Bobby Joe Hill signed that. So that's one of my pride and joys, but Coach gave me that. And I just love that item. Everything he gave me, I have. And, I told you that I have an archive of all the stuff that he's given me and that I've acquired just because of Coach. And it's grown immensely. You're aware I built a room in my house.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Coach never got to see it. And he told me one time, he goes, "God damn, Beto, are you ever going to finish that damn room?" And I did in November, and he passed September 7th. But Mrs. Haskins came over and saw it. And she broke down. She started crying.
Wow.
And it was, that's the first lady of basketball. She's just an amazing person. And I took that as the greatest compliment when she got very emotional when she saw the room.
Yeah.
I think the other picture is, I think we talked about that in that last one when Dan was on.
In Morris?
South of the border. You
Yeah.
see the bottle
Yeah.
when they left it, Western, his style.
Yeah.
But I want to tell you something. I hear a lot of people say, I'll clear some things up. They say, "Oh, Beto, he was his driver." I'm not a golf club. He was my best friend. He was my business partner. He was my confidant. He was my mentor.
Yeah.
The greatest friend I've ever had to this very day. So I've heard things like that at the White House and the people. Oh, he's just his driver.
My favorite is your bodyguard.
I'm his bodyguard. I think he protected me more than I protected him.
Yeah.
But a driver, I feel like I'm a golf club. I was also his physical trainer.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that. You want to hear a couple of those?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're driving out there in Santa Teresa, and he pulls over in the truck, and he says, "You get over here and drive now." So I get into the driver's seat, and then he jumps out, and he says, "What are you doing?" And he says, well, I'm going to do a workout. The doctor wants me to do a workout because I used to go with him to the doctor's office. And the doctor said, yeah, you need to start working out, Don. So I started working with him. And he says, you're going to be my physical trainer. And I said, I'm going to train a guy who's in the Hall of Fame twice. And he goes, yes, yes. So I get in the driver's side and he gets off the truck and he starts walking. It's 100 degrees. And then I get in there and then he goes, when I raise my arm, you pick me up. So he takes off walking. You know, he's got a flannel shirt on. He's got his slacks. He's got his Velcro shoes on. And he takes off walking up the street and I'm looking at him and I'm like, so I can't follow too closely behind him because he's slow, right? He walks as slow as he drives. So I'm waiting for him to get up 10, 15 yards and then I start rolling up behind him. It's like a Rocky movie. So I'm walking up behind him and I stop and I said, oh, I'll give him like 5 minutes so he can get a good head start on me. And then I finally put it in drive and he's about 10 yards ahead of me and then he goes, and I was like, oh. And I drive up to him and he goes, all right, bud, scoot over. And I said, that's it? He goes, what? I go, that's 15, 20 yards. Yeah. I said, no, I'm just saying. He goes, you got a problem with that? I said, no, not at all. I'm just saying. But I'm the one that should be telling you when to quit. Now, you don't tell me since I'm your trainer. You said I was your trainer. He goes, that's 10 yards. That's tough. I said, maybe in the NFL. But you're just walking up. Just scoot over. So then we go up the street over here to Scott Werner. You know where that guy is, right? He's a world powerlifter.
Yeah.
The guy's intense.
He is.
He reminds me of that gym teacher in Beavis and Butthead. You know, veins popping out. He's intense, man. He's a big old dude, and we get into the gym, and coach says, okay, I'm going to work out. And I said, okay, I see you got your gear on. He's got a flannel shirt, slacks, Velcro shoes. His pocket is popping out a little bit. And Scott Werner says, all right, Haskins, no more bullshit. Get on the squat rack. I don't think coach has ever been talked to like that, right? I mean, he's the one that does the talking. So he gets on the squat rack. And I'll tell you this, coach was pretty strong. He amazed me. The guy had 225 pounds on the squat rack.
Yeah.
And coach gets on there. I mean, you know, I don't think he's ever been on a squat rack, but he sure knew how to use it. And he gets on there and he assumes a position, and then Warner is like, get at it. The guy's intense. And then he looks at me like, who are you? And I said, I'm the personal trainer. And he's like, but he leaves me alone, and the coach goes down and he comes up, and I was like, whoa, because I was thinking, coach, you're going to get hurt. You're going to get hurt. Oh, no problem. Guy I could imagine him when he was an All-American, so you can imagine he has good genes.
Yeah.
The second one, he goes down and a tequila bottle, man, pops out of his pocket. And it hits remember how they have rubber mats on a gym?
Yeah.
So he goes down and he goes, pop, pop, pop. And I'm like this, and I step on it, and then Werner's like, the hell was that? And I was like, nothing. And then coach goes, pay attention to me, am I doing it right? He's like, now he's kind of like, well, what the hell popped out of his pocket? I mean, who takes a tequila bottle to the gym?
Yeah.
Right? You got to stay in shape. Well, that was the story then, but so Warner sees me pick up the bottle, and then coach sits down over there and he goes, all right, we're going to come over here now, Haskins. He's still wondering, what the hell was that came out of his bottle, out of his pocket? So he sits down over there and he goes like this, we're going to do some leg extensions. And coach says, that's fine. They're going at it, see? Two guys that are not used to.
Yeah.
So coach goes, hold on a second, just hold on. Takes a little sip, and then the guy goes, what the hell are you doing? I said, he has to stay hydrated. But that was my story of the two occasions that I was his personal trainer. First, he'd walk in front of the truck for his 10, 15 yards.
Yeah.
But you got to remember, he was on the wrong side of 70s, right?
Yeah.
And he still was trying. And he was still walking. He didn't want to use that walker for anything. We always had it in the bed of the truck. Hell, I used to use it more because wherever we'd park, I'd just pull it out and I'd use it and pop a squat, and he'd be like, Jesus, that's mine. I was like, you don't use it. He didn't want to be seen with it. And I'm going with that through my dad right now. I just saw him the other day, and he's the same way. He said, I picked him up for lunch, and he goes, I can't get in this damn vehicle. Why do you bring this one? And I was like, damn, this coach all over again.
Yeah.
And then he has a walker, and he goes, I don't want to use that. I don't want to use that. I said, listen, either you fall or you use your walker. So here I go all over again. I said, you remind me of Coach, stubborn. If you don't want to use it, you don't want to use it, but this is what we're going to do. No, and he's like, all right, let me have it. But that's the way it was with Coach.
Yeah.
It was a daily battle for him to use it. You have your pride, you have your dignity. You don't want to be seen like that. And I mean, when you're the bear, you don't want to be seen using a walker.
Right.
But that was he learned. He said, I said, listen, if you don't want to listen to me, you're gonna fall, and you don't like to be at home. And that's not what I mean. But you don't want to be at home. You want to be out. He's always out and about. The guy's a wanderer.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a gypsy. But I said, if you fall, you're going to be at home all the time. Give me the walker. You just had to play a game with him. You had to kind of reverse psychology on him.
Yeah.
Because that's what he did. And that's what he did with all his players. That's what he did with anybody. The guy was like 10 moves ahead of you. Right? I told you that in the national championship, I think you asked one of your guests that how many games would they have won if they would have played Kentucky
10 times.
10 times, and somebody said 1. They would have won 10 out of 10. The players told me, Orson Artis told me, Willie Worsley told me that was the easiest game they had played all year.
Wow.
The national championship.
Wow.
And
why? Did they say why?
I think they were just a well-tuned machine. They were, and I told you before that Coach told me the 64 team was better than the 66 team.
I've got a lot of agreement on that from different people.
He told me that his 64 team would have won it all.
Yeah.
But the 65, 66 team, he said that they drove him crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just that their confidence soared. They didn't think they could lose to anybody. And he said the best thing that happened to them that year was losing at Seattle.
Right.
Because it brought them back down to earth.
Right.
But
Jim Barnes got to be the number one guy, huh?
He was a man among boys, right?
Right.
Jim Barnes, Coach said they would have won the 64 easily. And they fouled them out twice on purpose.
Yeah.
So, and they still were in the hunt.
Right.
So the 66 team drove him crazy because he claimed that their confidence soared, and to him they were getting lazy. But I don't think any teams like till the late ones were lazy, or not lazy, but he was mellowing out. You could tell already.
Yeah.
Just like a dad, right? He's real strict with the first son, and then the last son, he's real mellow, and you're like, what's going on?
Remember those games against BYU and
Utah? Well, when the WAC was a formidable conference.
Great basketball.
Competition is wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
That's what. Look where we're at now. I mean,
yeah.
That's why I'm saying, how many games did we go to?
10 years, 0.
How many games did we go before?
Every one.
And then I used to sit with him in the tunnel. That was one of the most coolest experiences for me. And I had wonderful seats because he gave me, Yoli and Diego, 3 seats. Beautiful. I mean, we were in row 10. And then I ended up my brother. If my wife and my son didn't go, my two brothers would go, and they'd bring a friend because I'd sit with Coach in the tunnel. But we didn't miss a game.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't miss a game when in the well, I was gone from '84 to '92, unfortunately. So
Where were you?
I was in the service. I was in the Navy. So when I got back, it was like I never left. I just started picking up again, you know. But I'd watch them. I remember I'd be at Bowling Air Force Base in DC or whatever, and I'd watch them play, and I always kept up with them.
Yeah.
Remember when you used to actually pick up a paper?
Sure.
But the WAC was a great conference.
Yeah.
They were a force.
Yep.
They'd have 4 or 5 teams in the dance all the time.
Always.
But Coach was always the man.
Yeah. What's the deal with the poster?
And that's the Glory Road. And I just barely got it framed from our friend Rudy, you know.
Uh-huh.
And it was rolled up for, I don't know if you can see the creases, for 16 years. I just got it. There was a lot of things, you know, you always ask me, hey, tell me stories about Coach and all that. And I didn't really want to tell you anything. And it wasn't because you're my dear friend. It's not that. It's just that it kind of brought back a lot of emotions, you know. So this was rolled up for 16 years. And I just got it, and I forgot, look at the inscription.
To my friend? Not his driver.
That's right. But I mean, when I unrolled it, I literally had forgotten what he had inscribed. And I was kind of like, and then even that last time that we were with Dan, I don't know, it's kind of a therapy now for me. Because I've been going through the old archives. Look, I even popped up the old 66 line. I found my old UTEP hat, kind of a throwback hat, not these new colors they use now. UTEP is the only university I've ever seen that gets away from their history. They don't embrace it. They're the only university I've ever heard that doesn't want no part of their history. Because Coach put that university on the map.
Yes.
And I never got the sense that they wanted them. There was some egos in that arena, and they weren't coaches. There were other people at that university that had some big egos, and they thought they were bigger than Coach. And I told them one time in the tunnel, I told them both, I said, if it wasn't for this man, nobody would know who UTEP was.
Right.
And Coach didn't even get a fair shake because in 67 they went to UTEP. Right after they win the national championship, Texas Western. So, and then they changed the colors. Everything was, so he said, I had a hard time recruiting, Beto. I used to go on the road. You're going on the road as a national champion and you should be picking whoever you want. Yet people were like, well, who's UTEP? Well, I wanted to play for Texas Western. Well, we are Texas Western. We are the minors, but now they're UTEP minors. So I think Coach would. We had a conversation at Rosas, Dan, Wetzel, and I, and Coach. And Coach got mad at me and Wetzel, of course, because me mostly. And I told Coach, I said, Coach, if you were at Indiana or Kentucky, you would have 10 or 11 national championships.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, you're so full of it. I said, and Dan agreed, and then he got mad at us both, and he said, both of you go to the end of the bar over there. Like, right. That was his way of, and then all of a sudden you feel like you're in a timeout, and you see the Western bar slide, kind of grab that Gerber jar. You're back in the loop, right? Come on back. But I really feel that way. I mean, look what he did here.
Yeah.
What would he do at Indiana? Kentucky, blue chip.
Yeah.
He was offered the job at the Denver Nuggets, and Doug Moe took over. Eventually, was a coach, right?
Yeah.
And I said, Coach, why didn't you take the job in the NBA? And he goes, Beto, they don't listen to you in college. When you put their name on the back and they start making $1 million,
they're not going to listen to you.
They could care less what you're going to. They don't want to be taught.
Yeah.
So he enjoyed the college game and he loved it here. And I'll tell you what, he told me a few times, especially when we were coming back from Columbus, he would look at the mountains of Franklin's and he goes, that's one of the reasons I never left. And the people. He goes, I loved it here. Because he had opportunities and everywhere. Everyone wanted him. And UTEP got a bargain.
Bargain.
And you'll never see that again. Never.
Yeah.
He spoiled us.
Yeah.
You know what they do here? They come in, they step stone, and they leave, right?
Right.
But they only accomplish so little, and then they leave.
Yeah.
I was with Coach when we were going to do one of his shows at the Monkey, and then a call came in, and he said 817. He goes, that's Billy Clyde. And sure enough, I answer, and he goes, Crowfoot. I go, what's going on, Coach? And he goes, where's Coach at? I said, hold on. And then he pulls over by Ponder Park, and then I could tell something's bothering him. He slams it in the drive, and I was like, uh-oh. And then he goes, oh, Billy, how many assistants do you have over there? And he goes, I don't understand. How many assistants do you have? That's when he took the job at Kentucky.
Right. Should have never left A&M.
No, he had it made. Coach says, you have it made at Texas A&M, Billy. And then he goes, well, I got to take Kentucky. And then Coach was like, look at the irony, right? Kentucky. And he says, Coach says, how many assistants do you have at Kentucky? And he goes, oh, I have 14. 14 assistants. Coach had Moab.
Right.
Even more impressive of what he did. And he goes, no, damn it, Billy, I'm asking you, how many assistants do you have at Kentucky? Listen, Coach, I already told you 14. He goes, you don't got 14, you have 24,000. That's what Rupp Arena sits.
Yeah.
And he told him, Billy, stay at Texas A&M, you got it made. You got it made.
Yeah.
Well, we know how that turned out.
Yep.
Again.
Beginning of the end, Coach knew it.
He already knew what was going to happen to him.
Yeah.
And he looked at me, and we ended up at Kaplowicz's show, and he said, Beto, he just made the biggest mistake of his life.
Wow.
Now, when somebody gets a job at Kentucky, making $5 million a year, how is that a mistake? Well, it was a mistake. And
Yeah.
I think, Coach didn't care about money.
Right.
He could have been a millionaire many times over, and he should have been. He would have never been that because he gave everything away.
Yeah. Steve was talking about what he did with the money from the movie.
Who does that?
Yeah.
I was in the car when he was arguing with Jerry Bruckenheimer.
Well, underscore what he did with the money.
He divided it, every player from the trainer, the assistant, the secretary, everybody in that basketball office got a cut of that movie.
Yeah.
He didn't get nothing.
Yeah.
But who does that?
Nobody.
Well, Bobby Knight, those guys won't spread out the wealth. They'll just keep it to themselves, and they're already wealthy.
Yeah.
But it goes to show you the kind of man he was. Money did not motivate him at all. I mean, he stayed here.
Right. How about that one day he went to the University of Detroit?
The only thing he told me about that, he goes, can you believe they offered me a membership at the golf course? That's all so I go, so they didn't offer you one here?
Steve told me he was a scratch golfer.
Yeah. Well, he used to play with my neighbor, Mr. Ramsey.
Yeah.
And Mr. Ramsey used to have the back room of his house. He had a beautiful house, and I was always in there. And he'd open he had like a drafting room, he had Ramsey Steel, so he opened and it was all full of Folgers cans. I remember I was like, man, this guy's really into coffee. I said, damn, Mr. Ramsey, no wonder you can't sleep. Look at all that stuff you drink. He goes, oh, Beto, that ain't coffee. And I said, oh, what are you got nuts and bolts or whatever? And he goes, no. He goes, get a can. So I get a can. They were the smaller ones. I'm not talking about, they were the smaller ones. So I pick it up and I open it up. It's full of money. Money.
Money.
It rolls. They just like, and I said, what's this from? You in the cartel or what? No. Golf. They used to play. They played serious money for golf.
Yeah.
Lee Trevino. They were great friends.
Yeah.
You know, did I ever tell you one time I was at this hat? Irony. I'm glad you brought that up. I was in Dallas Fort Worth. I was at DFW. I was about to leave. I think I was going to Seattle. And you know, you're always waiting. I was kind of crashed out like this, and then I hear on my hat. So I look up, and I'm like, "Who's this guy?" The guy goes, "Pow!" I look up, kind of silver hair, fox kind of guy, and I was like, but I couldn't clear. I was like, "Who's this?" And then he goes, "UTEP." I said, "Yeah," and he goes, "Don Haskins," and he walks away. It was Lee Trevino.
Yeah.
I mean, but I didn't really click at the time because I was like, "Who's this guy?" You know, you're asleep, and he hit me on the hat, and so this hat. But I'm at DFW, and he's like, "Don Haskins," and I'm a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Recognizing another Hall of Famer, but
Yeah.
they were good buds. They were
Yeah.
friends.
That's cool.